back to my channel. I'm Amanda, the bag maker behind the Mandy Things sewing patterns and bag making education. One of the things I love about bag making is how you can make any bag that you're working on as unique as you want it to be. Today's video is going to show you how to add leather straps to a tote bag using rivets. And I'm going to be using my Kathy Tote pattern that has a zipper already installed. The bag is finished. Your tote bag that you're looking to put these leather straps on should also be a finished tote bag. It just won't have the straps in place yet. I'm going to walk you through how I decide handle placement and how I put the rivets on and get my leather straps ready for the tote bag. So come on in and let's sew. I am going to show you what supplies I'm using, and I also have everything linked below for you in the description box in case you decide this is something that you'd like to add to your bag making supplies. First thing you'll need is leather straps. I have cut mine based on how long I wanted my straps to be. This is the fun part of bag making. You don't necessarily have to have a specific length in mind. You can fiddle with the straps yourself and figure out what's going to work best for you. Just for your reference though, I will measure these, and these run right now almost about 30 inches. I had one long piece and I just cut it in half. And the way the straps will go on, you will need to account for not only the length of the strap that you want, but also we're going to be placing the straps a little bit down on the tote, which is going to take away some of that measurement that you had for how long you wanted your strap to be. So my suggestion is fiddle around with placement and just account for about 1.5 inches on each end of your strap is going to be placed on the bag. So you only have, let's say this is about your 1.5. So you only have a certain amount of strap left over to create the length that you want. So just keep that in mind as you're figuring out your measurement. For this particular tote bag, I decided I wanted them to be a little bit longer, so I cut them close to 30 inches in size. If you're interested in where I get my leather straps, I have found a wonderful online company called Springfield Leather, which is located in Missouri in the US. And I don't get paid to promote them, but I've been using them since I fell in love with adding leather straps to my bags. And they have a great way you can just order straps and they come in 1/2 inch width like this. You can get them in 1 inch, 1.5. I'll put a link for their business as well. I don't get anything from it. I'm just sharing because I know supplies are important to us as bag makers, and we see things that other people make and we want to add it to our bags too. So you can check the description box for all of that information. You will also need a set of double cap rivets, and I'm using the size 10 millimeter, and I will be using 8 sets of double cap rivets. My plan for the tote bag is to use 2 per site. I just like the look of it, and it also gives a lot of extra security to the tote bag. Mostly it's for the look, but it also helps with keeping those straps attached because this is the only way that those straps are going to be attached to the bag. As I went along in my bag making journey, I decided to invest in a rivet press, and the one I use is from Cam Snaps. Again, I'm not getting any promotion by sharing this with you. This is what I use. When I first started out, I used a rivet kit that I purchased off Amazon. In the kit, you get a set of rivets, and you also get the tools to be able to install the rivet. However you choose to put these rivets on, you will need something to help you do that. There is also another device that is a squeeze to make the rivet holes as well as apply the rivets. And I know for some of you that can be difficult because your hand strength is not what it used to be. So there are several options for installing rivets, but you will need to have some way of putting rivets in your bag to be able to accomplish this. The next item that I am going to talk about is a leather punch. And you have two options when you put the leather straps on the bag. When you cut them to size, they are straight. They are just straight across. So you could put them on and they will look like this, and it will have a straight edge to it. For me, I like to add a little bit more to my leather straps, and so the way I achieve that is by using a leather punch. And this set I, again, purchased off Amazon. It is linked below for you. And I'm going to show you how I use this to create a curved edge on the strap. For example, this is a finished tote I made a few years ago using my Joanna tote pattern, and I wanted to put the leather straps on, but you can see that this is a little more, it's curved, and that is from using this tool right here, which I'm going to show you how to do in the video. It's up to you whether you want it to have this curved look to it. In my opinion, I think it just makes it look a little bit more fancy, more professional, more boutique-y. You decide how you want your tote to look. Again, it's your bag, you do you. This step is completely optional, but you will need these tools if you choose to do this step. I have a hollow punch set for leather, and I use these to punch a circle hole in the leather strap. So you'll also need to account for making sure you have enough of that strap or a different strap so that you can make these circle punch holes. And this is what I mean. This is the inside of this tote, and these are circles that I cut out using the hollow punch set from the leather, and it just helps create a nice finished look on the inside, but it also helps with giving a little bit of cushion for the rivets that you're putting in. And I wanted to show you very quickly a different tote bag that I made years ago where I sewed these leather straps into the bag, but I just wanted to add a little bit more security to them. So I placed the rivets up close, and I did not use the circle holes, the circle hole punch or the leather to put inside. I used this bag when I was teaching and going to school every day, and it held up. You can see there's no issues. So it is a functional, there is a functional reason as to why to put in the circle punch, but it's not absolutely necessary. This is a step that will be completely optional, but is going to be included in this video for you in case you decide you want to try it. It's there for you down the road if you decide this is not for me right now, but I'd like to do it later. I also highly suggest these next items. You are going to be doing a lot of hammering to create the curvature of the leather strap, as well as if you choose to make the circle punch, be banging quite a bit and banging pretty hard. So I use a few mats, and you'll see how I use them in the video, but I do recommend some kind of a mat to help the surface that you're going to be pounding on. I also recommend a rubber mallet of some kind. I'll have these linked below for you, but you're going to want something that's going to protect the surface that you're working on because you don't want to end up with dings and holes. Those are all the supplies you're going to need to be able to put some leather straps on your tote bag. And again, linked below in the description box. So let's do it. For this particular leather strap, I am using a 3/4 inch wide strap, and the color that I am using is the mesquite brown. And like I said, you can purchase these from Springfield Leather Company, and you would look for purse strap, and they come in a 64-inch length. I can usually get, depending on my strap size, 1, maybe 2 tote bags out of a strip of their leather. There's also other places to purchase leather straps, but this is the company where I purchased these exact straps in case you were interested. The first step that I'll show you in putting the leather straps on your tote bag involve creating that curved edge that I showed you in my previous tote bag. And in order to achieve that look, we will be using a leather punch. Now, this set contained many different sizes, and as you can see at the bottom, it does have some markings as to what size you can use for it. But what I like to do is I take one of the punches that is similar in size, and I place it at the end just enough to where I can see that there's going to be a nice curve. So I would recommend fiddling around with this a little bit before you actually are ready, so that you don't mess up your leather straps. But I just place it, and there is going to be a little bit sticking out right here. I've got it lined up as close to the edge as I can, but I still want to have a rounded edge. And I have a mat to cut. This is very sharp. I mean, it's not sharp to my finger to touch. It's not cutting me, but it is sharp enough to cut through the leather. And you want to have a little bit of protection between the surface that you're using to do all of this work on. So I have a cutting mat as well as a plastic kind of kitchen cutting board. Once you've got it placed, you're just going to tap. And this is a very noisy process. So if you have babies napping, I don't suggest doing it right now or late at night. Now I have a nice little curved edge, and you could just figure out which punch you want to use, the look that you want to have. If this is not something that you even want to do, then you are ready to go with just your flat edge strap. So you would repeat this for all edges of the leather strap, which will be 4 times. Now you have rounded edges for your tote bag. This next step is going to involve creating the circle punches. And again, if you don't want to do this part, you can just skip ahead to the next step. But I am using the hollow punch, and this is the 1/2 inch size. And I am needing 8 because I'm going to use 8 rivet sets. So I'm going to make 8 circle hole punches. And I just take and eyeball it. I place it somewhere on the strap, and I just make sure that it is inside the leather. And then you're going to just hold it in place. Again, this is sharp. It's not sharp enough to cut my finger, but it is sharp enough to go through the leather. This is, again, something that is loud, and I am just going to and you can see it went through the cutting mat that I had a little bit. You can see I've got previous holes on here from doing this over and over again. But it created a hole, and I'm just going to pull that off. And now I have a circle punch, and I'm just going to make 7 more of those. have 8 circle punched holes, and we are ready to start marking our rivets. I'm using double cap rivets, and each set will consist of a rivet with a post and then a rivet with a hole for that post to snap into. These are size 10 millimeter, and when they go on the circle punch, they're going to be centered. So we need to mark a center point for us to make the hole for the rivet to go through. So for this step, where we're going to mark our center points on our hole punch, you'll need a ruler and a marking pen. I'm just using a heat erasable marking pen. And I want to find the center of my circle. And I used a 1/2 inch hole punch. So I am going to measure 1/4 inch from an edge and 1/4 inch from the bottom, and that's going to create my center point. And I'm just going to make a mark. And this is where I'm going to take my rivet press to make a hole so that my rivets can go through it. Once all the circle hole punch are marked, then you can set those aside, and we need to make the marks for placing our holes on the actual straps. So on this tote bag, I just want to make sure before I start marking anything, I want to decide, do I want it to be, where exactly do I want it to fall? And I think I like the look of using this as my guide for how far down I'd like to place it. This is what it will look like if it's about 1.5 inches. I also wanted to point out that I am working on the right side of the leather strap. There is this kind of rough rawhide side of the leather strap, so I'm working on the finished side. And that's going to be what everybody sees on the bag. So knowing that I want this strap to start at the bag with 1.5 inches on the bag itself, that's going to help me in determining where exactly I want to place the rivets. So I am looking at 1.5 inches. So this is the space I have to work with for the extra part that's going to be on the bag. So I think I would like a rivet to be there, and maybe there. I think I like the look of that. This one is a 3/4 inch strap, so I need to measure over about 3/8 of an inch in order for it to be a center mark. So I have my ruler starting here. I know I only want to go to 1.5 inches for space that's going to be on the actual bag. And I want my holes to be centered. So I chose about 3/8, between 3/8 and 1/2 inch for my first rivet to be placed, and I made a dot. And then I went to a little in between 1/8 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch for my next hole placement, and I made another dot. So I know I'm going to be using my hole punch on the rivet press to put holes here and here, and that way my rivet will go through. So I'm going to continue marking those same spots on each strap end. So I have all of my strap ends marked for where I want to place my holes for the rivets, and I have all of my circle punches marked, so I'm ready to start punching holes in all of these in preparation for the rivets. I will be using my rivet press for this, and right now I have the hole punch attachment in there. And I'm simply going to make sure that I place the leather pieces so that when I press down on the hole punch, that it goes directly through that hole or that mark. And so now you can see I have a little hole where the hole punch went through. So I'm just going to keep repeating that step for all of the pieces that need holes. I have punctured holes in all of the circle punches as well as the straps. So now these are ready to get placed, but first we need to use the straps to help figure out where exactly we're going to punch holes in the tote bag. For this particular tote, I decided I would like the straps to be about 4 inches from the edge of the tote. So I measured over 4 inches and I placed the strap on this side of 4 inches. And I did the same to the other side as well. You, again, it's your bag. You get to decide where you want these straps to go. I just recommend that you test it out before you actually adhere them to the bag. And a great way to do that is to clip them in place and then put the bag on, see how you like it, see how it feels. You want to make sure that you have enough width here for your arm. And maybe if this is a bag where you're planning on using it every day, or you know you're going to be wearing it when you have thicker clothing on, like maybe your winter jacket or a thick sweater, just account for that when you're placing everything so that it's a nice, comfortable width that you have here. You don't want it too skinny. Now I'm just going to make sure that this bottom curved edge comes down to the 1.5 inches that I wanted it to. And then I will take my marking pen and I'm just going to mark through the holes on the bag so I know where to punch the holes with my rivet press on the tote bag. I'm going to take that pin out of the way so that I can get an accurate mark. Now I know that this is not exactly 1.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up this strap just a smidge. And again, I'm using this as my guide for 1.5 inches down. So I'm going to make sure that I line up my 1.5 inch mark. I have slid the ruler underneath just a little bit under the strap so that I can mark where I want that strap to land, and you're never going to see it. I can also go in and just erase it real quick, but now I know that's where I want my strap to be. And then I'm going to put the clip back on. This is just to hold it in place while I make my marks. That moved on me just a smidge. So then I'll just take my pen and I'm literally just going to go through the bag and make marks. I'm going to check it before I pull that off. So I know this is where I'll place my rivet press hole punch to make marks for the rivets. We're almost to the end. This is where all of the exciting stuff starts to happen. So you're just going to keep doing that for all of your straps and get everything marked. All 4 sides where my straps are going to attach to the bag have been marked. And now I am going to place these in my rivet press with the hole punch and making sure that I only punch holes in this section. I'm going to slide it through and I'll just line up the hole punch with the mark that I made. This is also kind of a scary part. I get it. And this is a lot of fabric to go through as well. So you may find that it doesn't go through all the way. And usually if that happens to me, I'll just go and punch a hole from this side as well. Because at least on this bag, I've got a lot of layers that I'm trying to go through. This is why I did invest in a rivet press, because it is a lot of muscle. And I'm going to test that to make sure that my rivet will go through. I just want to make sure that all the holes have been made, and it went right through. So I know when I go to place my leather pieces on, it's all going to fit. So now I'm just going to continue making the holes on all of my marks, and then we'll be ready for the final step of putting all of the leather straps on and attaching the rivets. The holes have been placed in the tote bag, and now here comes the fun part. You will take one of your straps, and I like to get it ready by putting in the rivet. And for the outside ones, I use the rivets that have the post. I'm just going to put it in the hole. Do the same here. And then I'll just match up the posts with the holes and push it through. Before you secure everything in place, just make sure that this strap is straight. You don't want it leaning to the side or like that. Once you press the rivets together, there is a tool to be able to get your rivets out. I don't have it. I've not used it, but I know there is a tool. Just be careful. So now on the inside is when you're going to take one of your circle punch, and you'll want the leather side facing out. So you want the rawhide side touching the lining side. And you're just going to slide it on, and then take the rivet that has the hole and snap it in place. This is just a temporary hold. This is why you'll need to press it when you are done. So put in your rivet post, put your circle punch over. Remember, rawhide side touches the inside of the bag, so you have the leather side facing out. Sometimes it can be a little thick. And then put the post and just kind of snap it into place. And now you've got one of the straps ready to go. I like to place everything first before I use the rivet press to tighten everything up. It's a fun way to see kind of what the tote's going to look like. Also, you know, if you've made any mistakes or if something goes wrong, you haven't tightened everything on yet. So I think it was easier to put them on one at a time. So I'm going to put this one on. It's gone through. I'm going to grab a leather punch and put it over, and then snap that into place. And then I can do the bottom one. Put a leather circle on, and put that ribbon on and snap it into place. And then one side is done. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. thing to keep in mind as you're putting your straps on your tote bag is make sure that your strap does not twist or hasn't tangled as you're putting it on. This is another reason why it's a good idea to not go ahead and press everything together, because if you find that your straps have twisted or something's wrong, you can easily go in and just take it off and start again if you need to. So this is why I recommend going through, putting it all together, snapping everything in place. And then once you're happy with where everything is, then you're ready to use your rivet press to secure everything in place. Remember, your straps need to be straight. They should be for the most part once you get them positioned in the right way, but just pay attention to that as well. We are in the final step of adding our leather straps to a tote bag with rivets. Now all that's left to do is to tighten up all of those rivets throughout the bag. And I'm going to be doing that using my rivet press. I've got my 10mm dies ready to go, and I will just be placing them in the press and tightening them, and I'm done. I know not all of you will be using a rivet press to do this part, but I did want to show you, if you are, how I do it. I kind of make my tote bag kind of fall off an edge. I have the edge of my table right here. And I have the other side of the tote kind of shoved out of the way. And you just kind of maneuver it in here. And you can feel the rivet kind of sit in the cradle right here. So I just kind of rock it back and forth a little bit until I feel it in there. And then as I'm going down, I just make sure that that top die kind of covers the rivet. That way I know everything's in place, and I push, and then I do it again for the remaining rivets. My first section is done. I've tightened them on, and you can see both the outside and the inside. It's on there. It's not going anywhere. I'm just going to finish up. Guess what? You did it. Now you have a tote bag with leather straps, rivets. You're looking upscale now. This bag's uptown. And here's the inside, where you can see the circle leather pieces. They're really just a cushion so that it helps the rivets and everything not punch holes, and it just makes for a nice finish as well. Now remember, you can add leather straps to just about any kind of bag that's out there, and now you know how to do it with rivets. And it's a lot of kind of whatever you feel looks right. There is no right or wrong with this. Make them less wide, make them super wide, put them down even further, put them lower. There's so many different options you can. Make the straps longer, make the straps shorter. It's your bag. You do you. But know that you did that. You made that. So you can have a bag that you're proud to carry around and say, yeah, I made that. And this is the type of bag, when you add leather straps to it, it's just going to give it a little more. And people are going to be like, where'd you get that? And then you can say, I made it. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial and that all your bags from here on out have leather straps and rivets. If you have something you'd like me to teach a tutorial on, mention it down below, leave a comment. Please make sure to like this video. And if you're not already, make sure you are subscribed to my channel and hit that notification button so that every time I upload a new video, you're the first to see it. I hope you had a great time. I sure did. I'll see you in the next one. Happy sewing!